So it gave you this one right here, like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what does it ask you to do in the question?
It's it just says to give the solution set in both interval and graph form.
Sure. So it's less than or equal to 2 and greater than or equal to 5.
Mm-hmm.
What did you just graph there? This is, yeah.
X is greater than or equal to 2 by accident.
Okay, so is this, hold on a sec. So this right here, that is correct. It's there going to the left. I get that. And then this right here, x is less than or equal to 2. At 2, if we're going to go less than 2, we have to go to the left. So if we were to shade this, are these the two inequalities? Did you check just to make sure that are those the correct inequalities from the book?
Yeah.
So what are you going to need to do? Like if where do these intersect? You have one shaded region from 5 that goes like this, and then it starts here, and then you have a second shaded region that starts at 2 and goes to the left. Where do they intersect?
I just left it at 5.
What?
I just left it at 5.
Well, the problem is, does the green go to 5? Does the green go to 5?
No.
The and means both have to be true. Both have to be true. So what region are they both true in? What region are they both true in?
Between 2 and 5, including the 2 and 5.
Including the 2?
And 5 in between.
No. Look, where is it green and purple? Look at the graph. Where is it green and purple? To the left of 2. So how would you write that in interval notation? It's going to be 2 hard bracket here, but then it goes, how far does it go to the left? Yeah, just negative infinity right there. There's your interval notation right there. You treated it as x greater than or equal to 2, which is not what you want. Not what you want. Okay. What are you supposed to do on this question? Oh, it's the same exact thing? Oh, so did it give you an inequality to start with?
Yeah.
It did? You didn't write it down? Okay, it's okay. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay. So, how many people agree with what he did right there? Take a look at your work for 19. How many people agree with what he did? One thing you could do, Nick, just to be a little bit clearer for me, when you do this, really make it clear that these right here are curved. And then I like the arrows, but what I want you to do is after you do that for yourself, like make it solid right in between, okay? Make it solid just so I know you want to go in between and kind of draw a little stretched out typefader. Okay. Good. So you did. So X represents the dollar invested in 4%, and twice the amount of 5%. The annual interest is 112. How much is invested? Okay, I see the mistake. You set this. This is great. I like that. I like that. I like that. There's a problem with the 0.4 and the 0.5. What is 4% in decimal form?
0.04.
Yeah, careful. What it should be is 0.04x plus 0.05 times 2x equals 112. That should get you an answer that makes a little bit more sense. Because look, this is telling you invest $80 and you get $112 in interest. Yeah, that's what you get if you had 90% interest. Oh, excuse me, you get 40% on the first amount and double that, so it's even more than that. You're getting a lot of interest. Okay. So can you solve that now? Yeah. Well, yeah, you could. Well, you can. It's gonna be 0.14 x equals 112, right? So x is equal to 112 divided by 0.14. Yeah, you could do that on your calculator. Anybody have an answer to that? Anybody? I don't have the mouse, so you can ink to text if you write really carefully, and if you run your handwriting recognition on here. There's a little training program. It gets pretty good. It's not bad. Okay, how are we feeling? So is this really similar to what we did before? Yeah. So this right here is x plus 2,000, and that's x. I like how you label this: amount at 3% and amount at 4%. And look, did you use the right decimals? Yeah. Can you please write your decimals a little cleaner? Please, because that's a 4 right there. Equals 920. You subtracted the 80. Good. You got 12,000. When you get a nice clean answer like 12,000, is that a good sign? Yeah, it's either great or you've made some weird mistakes and your subconscious math mind was like, we want it to be something round. But like usually when you get a nice answer like that in this kind of class, the answers are set up to be sometimes decent. That's great. Okay, put chat. What does this mean right here, girls? What does this mean right here? Yeah, the absolute value of x minus 2020 is less than 3. Can someone give me the biggest value of x that you could get? What's the biggest value of x you could plug into this and it would be true? Tell me what's the biggest value of x I could plug in? 2019? Sure, if it was just integers I was asking for, right? So you think it would be 2000, what? 2019. So 2019. If you could go into just real numbers, it would be 2019 point what? Repeating, right? So that would be the biggest one, right? Oh wait, would it be the biggest one? No, what are you talking? No. The difference between the two numbers has to be less than 3. So what's the biggest number you could put in there? Alex, what's the biggest number you could plug in there? The difference between these two numbers has to be less than 3. What's the biggest number?
Oh, 2023.
2022.99 repeating, right? What's the smallest number that you could plug in there? Not quite 2000. Not quite 2017, right? What's 2017 minus 2020? -3. What's the absolute value of -3? 3. It's not quite that. It needs to be a little bit more than that, right? So we could clean this up a little bit. I can make it equal to. If I made it equal to, this would change. What would the biggest number you could plug in be? If I change this to equals,
That would be it would be 2023.
2023, and if I change it to equals, the lower one would be 2017. So what about the numbers in between? What about the numbers in between? Are those possible solutions?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. So if you were to graph this, what would it look like? It would go from 2017 all the way to 20, and would it be closed or open dots?
Be closed.
2023, thank you. Closed or open?
Close.
Yeah, since I made it, and then you would shade in between. So this right here is the same thing as that. Those are the same. One is an absolute value inequality, the other one is a graph of a region.
It's only open when it's just like.
If it's strictly less than, yeah, strictly. If it doesn't get, it can get infinitely close, but it can't touch. Another way to say this is all the values within what of what. These are all the values within what of what. These are both numbers. All the values within what distance of what number? 3. Within 3 of what number? 220, yeah. These are all the values within 3 units of 2020. That's another way to think about what that says. Another way. Graph that. Those are all of the values blank. Okay, hold on. Yes, do you have a question? Sure.
How they're set up.
Yeah, instead of going towards 0, they're going away. So these are all the values what away from 0. All of the values 4 or more away from 0. 4 or more, right? So if you started at 0, you have to go 4 to the left more, or 4 to the right more. Okay, what about this picture right here? These are all of the values what?
Less than
All the values 4 or less units away from 0. Exactly. So let's go back up to our original example here. These are all the values within 3 of 2020. So what happens if we wanted to do this one right here? All of these values 4 it doesn't include it. 4 you know what? Let's just do this. Ready? I'll clean it up a little bit. There you go. So it includes it, okay? So if we wanted to now write an inequality with an absolute value for this right here, let's look what we did up here. Here is all of the values within 3 units of 2020. Keep in mind what it looks like. What about down here? All of the values 4 or less units away from 0. What would that inequality look like? It'll be this and some number here within a yep.
X minus 4.
X minus 4. Yep. 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 Or equal to what?
0.
Less than or equal to, actually, it's X minus, not 4. It's X minus something is less than or equal to 4.
Oh, is it X minus 0?
Yeah, because what is it centered on? 0. If we move this, if we kept the same interval, let's say we kept the same interval, but put it around 1. What's 4 units to the left of 1? -3. What's 4? Oh, 5, right? Let's say I did hard brackets and I shaded it right here. What would that one be? X minus 1 is less than or equal to 4. Let's go back up here. What's the only thing that's going to change on this? Let's make it include. Well, no, we won't make it include. What would the equation be for this one right here? I'll give you a hint. It's going to be x minus something. And then instead of less than, it's going to be greater than 4. And it's x minus 0 because it's centered on 0. Exactly.
No matter what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Could we center it around something else?
Yeah.
Yeah. These are tolerance levels. So let's I'll draw a couple more. So let's say I gave you, I don't know. Nope, I gotta actually do it out. And pause here. Let's say I gave you, I don't know, number line like this. And I said it was at -3 and 7. It was open dot away and open dot away. Try writing that as an absolute value inequality. Try writing that as an absolute value inequality. It'll look like x minus something is greater than something. What's the center of this interval? 2. So it's going to be x minus 2 is going to be greater than what? 5. You found the center, which was 2. And what's the distance from 2 all the way to 7? What's the distance from 2 all the way to 3? 5. So x minus 2. This means all of the points greater than 5 away from what point? Greater than 5 away from 2. Yeah. Greater than 5 away from 2. Yes, Nick. Please write the absolute value inequality for that interval right there. Try that one right there. It's going to be x minus something. What's it going to be x minus? X minus what? X minus -4. And is it going to be less than, greater than, or equal to, less than or equal to? Less than or equal to what? 6, exactly. Because what's the middle? What's in between -10 and 2? -4. And what's the distance to the 2? And what's the distance to the 10? 6. So where does that -4 go? It goes right there. And where does the 6 go? Right there. So this right here, x plus 4 is less than or equal to 6, is the algebraic absolute value inequality that represents that part of the number line. Yes? Open. What would change? It would be x minus -4 still, right? But it would be greater than 6. It wouldn't be equal to because they're not closed, and it's going away, so it's greater than. You want to keep getting bigger. Keep getting bigger. So they make, what does this look like? So if we did this one right here, what does this mean? If the absolute value of something, this is important, everybody, if the absolute value of something is equal to 7, that means its distance from the origin is 7. What two numbers have a distance of 7 from the origin? 7 and -7. So what do you know? 2x plus 1 is equal to 7, or 2x plus 1 is equal to -7. So you have to solve two of these. 2x is equal to 6, x is equal to 3, or 2x is equal to -8, or x is equal to -. Just because you're setting it equal to 7 and -7, does that mean the answer is going to be plus or minus the same number? No. This tells you that x is equal to 3, or it's equal to -4. You make the two cases initially. You don't wait, and never write it as equals plus or minus 7. Because what's 7 minus 1? 6. What's -7 minus 1? -8. Is this plus or minus the same number? No. Split it apart immediately. Immediately. What about this? If we wanted to graph this solution set, what does that mean? That means that 2x plus 1 has to be greater than 7, or 2x plus 1 has to be less than what? -7, because you want to be greater than 7 away. And you can either do that by going farther to the left or farther to the... If you're going to the right, that means greater than. If you're going to the left, it means less than. So then you just solve these independently of one another. Hold on, let's finish it. You get 2x plus 1. Sorry, 2x is greater than 6. X is greater than, remember these are all or statements. 2x is less than negative, so x is less than. So if you graph this, what does this look like? You have 3 and they go away, exactly, or you have -4, which is to the left. There it is. Now here's a question for you. If I just, let's say you didn't see this. Let's say you didn't see any of this work up here, and I gave just this picture. Could you write this as a much simpler absolute value expression, inequality?
Yeah.
What's the center? What's between -4 and -3? Oop, that is not what I wanted to do. It's what? Is it -1? You sure? Sure it's -1? It's -0.5. The center of this is -1/2.
How do you figure out the center?
What's the distance between them?
You just
Divide by 2. So in this case, what would this be? This would be x minus -1/2. Is it greater than or less than? Greater than, because it's going away. And what's the distance? What's the distance away from -1/2? What's the distance from -1/2 to 3? 3.5. 3.5, because it's to the left. And I'll write it as 3.5 because you want to. So it'd be x plus 1/2 is greater than 7/2. So what's interesting is you see this right here is the same thing as this. Are there multiple ways to write them? Yep. Just wanted to show you that as a side note. What about this one right here? Is this very similar to what we just did? Yeah, what's the only thing that's going to change?
I said you're going to use an and statement. It's going to be written as 3.
Yeah, so actually we simplified it already. So we know it's actually going to go from 3, sorry, not 0. It goes from 3 and -4, right? But instead of shading out, what do you do? In between. Exactly, there it is. It's less than. That's the only thing that changes. The algebra doesn't change, it just depending on which arrow changes, right? Okay, let's do a few more of these. What's the only thing that this adds in to the work you have to do? So what do you have to do to get rid of that 5? So you have x plus 3 is equal to, I can almost do math, 7. Now you break it into 2 cases. What are the 2 cases, Milo? Equals, or, yeah. And can you solve those independently of one another? Yes. So x is equal to 4, or x is equal to -10. Nice. These right here, again, what's the only thing that these add in? The inequality, well, the plus 5 and the inequalities, right? That's the only thing they add in. Does the algebra change? No. You're going to have a set of things. Now, what is this? What's A going to look like? Like this. It's going to point out, correct? What's B going to look like? So you already know that this one's going to look like this. And are they going to be open or closed dots?
Closed.
You know they're going to be closed, so you just have to figure out what those dots are. What about over here? You have a dot. Oh, yeah. And do you actually already know what the values are for the closed dots? We just figured it out up here. What are they? -10 and? -10 and 4. In, out. That's it. That's all that changes. All you're going to set up is this. X plus 6 is going to equal 2x minus 3, or x plus 6 is going to equal what? I'll give you a hint.
2x plus 3.
The opposite of 2x minus 3.
So it's going to be 2x plus 3.
It would be -2x plus 3. Negative, because you multiply the whole thing by negative. Do you see this negative right here?
Mm-hmm.
So when you see an equals and an absolute value, you break it apart into 2 cases. Can you solve these? Let's add 3. You get x plus 9.
Equal sign, and how do you figure out if it's going to be closer or closer?
You see how it's greater than or equal to?
I mean, it just gives you an equal sign.
Then it's just the dots.
Just the dots?
Yep.
Okay.
Just the dots. So x plus 9 is equal to 2x. So what does 9 equal? X. What about over here? X plus 6 is equal to -2x plus 3. So 3x is equal to -3. So x is equal to what? -1. Yeah, there you go. This is not an inequality, so do we have to shade anything? No. It's just the 2 points because it just equals. Just you wouldn't graph it. You just say x is equal to 9 or x is equal to -1. I might ask you to graph it, and if I did, you'd say, okay, here's -1, and here's 9. You've now labeled them on a line.
Got it.
Now here's some fun ones.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I wasn't really sure why.
3 is equal to -4. What's the problem?
Absolute value equals
Always what? Or 0, right? So what do you know the solution is to this? Nothing. Contradiction. Just say null set. Nothing. No solution. What about this one? Is that possible? Is it possible for 7x minus 3? Yeah, sure. That's when 7x minus 3 is equal to Yeah, because can you have positive 0 or negative 0? No, it's just 0. So 7x is equal to 3, so x is equal to? X is equal to 3 over 7, yeah. What about that one right there? The absolute value of x is greater than or equal to negative 4. What's the solution set? The absolute value of anything is always what? What's the relationship between a positive number and negative 4?
Positive is greater.
Is greater than. So when is the absolute value of x greater than negative 4? Always. So what's the solution to this?
Identity is just one.
Identity. All real numbers. What's the graph? It's the entire real number line. The entire thing. Any number you plug in when you take the absolute value is always going to be greater than negative 4. Always going to be. Always.
Solid dot.
No, you just say all real numbers. All of them. Identity. You remember?
Yeah.
We have identity. We